who do I need to partner with in order to get this skill set and learn this skill set that I need? So it was really finding partners that would walk me through their process so I could walk into a place, after a while, and I know what it costs to replumb a house. I know what it costs to redo floors. I know what roofs and windows are going to cost. And like so many people go and pay for a massive college degree. So kind of like the way I look at it is like, you know what? I'm going to give up a lot of potential revenue or commission or however you want to look at it, but I'm going to give up a lot of money, but I'm going to bring on a partner and I'm going to learn from that. So I just looked at it as buying my education in real estate or in development. So I think like sometimes we have to get out of our own way and know when we have to get a partner or somebody that's going to let me scale and learn much faster than I'll do.
You're listening to the number one real estate podcast in the world. We talk with real estate professionals all across North America about their wins, losses, lessons, and stories help you win in your local market today. My name is Cody from Sheridan Street. I'm joined with Vikram Deol of the Real Estate Sales Academy.
You guys, this is episode, I think, 210 in less than a year. If this is your first intro to us, welcome to the
the RE Agent Podcast. There you go.
I totally forgot the name of our podcast.
200 episodes in, and Vikram doesn't even know the name. Like he's too busy munching on his peach over there, and his peach is not from Georgia; it's from California, which is like
enough out of
cool,
you.
Bro.
Enough. My grandma will bury you 6 feet into her farm. But no, for real, you guys. If you guys get value, if you don't get value, like, hey, by all means, do not give us any credit. But if you got value from any of our content, this is episode number 200 and something that we're recording right now. We don't monetize this. We're not being paid. We're not being sponsored. We do this because Cody and I really want to see real estate agents, real estate team leaders, real estate brokerages grow. Share this with somebody in your office that might need it. Like it, subscribe to whether it's YouTube or it's Spotify or it's iTunes. And just give us a comment below.
Now, don't get Vikram wrong. Don't get Vikram wrong. Like, I will take sponsors. Like, I'm not against sponsors. I'm not against sponsors. Like, if
we don't have any.
We don't have any. But if you want to be a sponsor for the Argent Podcast, feel free to DM me or Vikram. I will take sponsors. I'm not that.
James, and you can feel free to sponsor this episode as well. We will take a cool 10 grand from you as well. We are not against that.
A crisp commission check. James, for the people that don't know who you are, tell them we know who you are, but people listening may not know who you are. Long time. Give us like kind of the Cliff Notes version on who the heck you are, where you sell real estate, what you're doing. Your maybe your horoscope as well. We'd love to know your sign. That would be cool as well.
Let's go there because I think if we start with my horoscope, you'll really kind of get to know me a little bit better.
What are your love languages, your disc profile? Do you like to be little spoon or big spoon? Watches?
Definitely big spoon. I'm a very
You're out of luck, Vic.
I'm on the cusp, so I'm Capricorn and Aquarius. So, I'm hard to figure out. So, but that leads into it. I've been in real estate for 18 years now. So I've been doing that here in Washington, D.C. for 18 years. This month, at the beginning of this month, I just soft launched a new real estate website here in Washington, D.C. that's specifically for condos. It's DCMetroCondos.com. Just rolled out. It has all the top buildings here in Washington, D.C., which was a lot of fun. It's been a fun project. But I think today you guys want to talk about some investor stuff.
Yeah, man. I think that, I know because I've known you. I think we've known each other for almost 10 years now, bro. I think we met at a Tom Ferry, one of my first Tom Ferry events where I met Sharon. And that was 2012. And we've both gone on to do lots of cool things. When we were talking in the green room, though, you were talking about what's really working well for you, and you talked about investors. And before we can get into how do you develop a list of investors, I think we need to reverse engineer, and I think we need to slow down and back up. Like, what are the skills? I wrote down a few things. What are the skills that an agent needs to even approach an investor? How how do they look at properties from an investor's eye so that they can see where there's value add opportunities, so that when they pitch it to an investor, it's not just like, hey, I got this 3-bed, 2-bath that's, could have an ARV or after remodel value of 600,000, but you can pick it up. Why could it have that value, right? Like, well, here's what we're going to do. So you're actually learning how to pitch the properties to the investors instead of just throwing them a bunch of work to do. Where are there opportunities? Like, how can they look at a property from in your experience, to raise the value? And then how do we create an investor list? Like, where do we find the investors? And then how do we nurture them? So those are the things that I wrote down. That's what I wrote down earlier, thinking like we could jump into it. So let's start off with number one. Like, what skills, in your opinion, and Cody, I'd like to hear yours as well. What skills, in your opinion, does a real estate agent need to start developing now so that they can approach investors once they create their list?
So for me, I think the first part that you need to know about it, and I actually started in real estate, flipping before I kind of got into actually selling. So I kind of had I knew exactly what I was kind of like looking for when I got to a property. So one of the things that I think when you want to talk to investors, first you have to kind of figure out who that investor is and what is it that investor, if you meet somebody who's like, yeah, I'd like to invest in real estate, what does that mean to them? Is that person like a long-term hold? Is that person going to be, somebody that just wants to flip? Is it somebody that's a developer? There were so many times at the beginning when I would get somebody and said, yeah, I'm an investor. And they're like, they want to flip homes. And, everybody wants to flip a house, or at least there was a snapshot in time where I felt like everybody wanted to, flip a house. Then you take them around, show them like, 25 homes, and they're like, yeah, the margins aren't there on any of these. And I'm like, dude, you got to be kidding me. So I think, like there's like some of this shit's going to work, So one of the things that I do now is like, I won't take on a client, or I won't take on an investor that I'm looking for a project for him. What I'll do is I'll find my projects and then I bring them to the investor list. So it's like, instead of kind of like running around and sussing through, like, is this going to work for you? Are you going to get your margins on this? I want to know what that person's margins are, or, what kind of return they're looking for in order to get into a project. And there's so many times where, I actually have one that I just got today. I got it this morning. And I know that there's going to be some investors, if I just share it with a couple, I know that some of them are going to take it at a lower price, and somebody's willing to just have a project in the pipeline and maybe pay more to get into this project. So I think you really need to figure out what that investor is looking for and what their threshold on return is before you
Cody would call that isolating, right? So isolate what they are. Like, are they a long-term? Are they a flipper? Could potentially be both? Are they a developer? Like, what would be the ideal property for those people before you start just showing property?
It's really interesting that you say that, like, find out what their, what their means are, like what actually drives them, I think is important conversation to have with investors, buyers, sellers, actually understand what's important to them. But like, it's so funny. You're going through this and you're literally walking through, like, so one of my good friends, Palak Shah, runs a coaching program specifically for real estate investors. And we came into, I came in and did a presentation for them about a month ago, and they were trying to understand how they better communicate with real estate agents. So they were interviewing me because we work with so many agents, trying to get into the mindset of how do we actually get more realtors to come to us with deals. So it's like, it's on both. I think agents here, and I would love to see your perspective on this, Grant, because after speaking to so many investors, I've spoken to a lot of investors. I've spoken with tons of agents. I see that investors oftentimes will have a warped view on what real estate agents do, or they have zero idea on what a real estate agent does. And then vice versa, the real estate agents don't often have an understanding of what an investor does, whether they're a seasoned investor, whether they are, buy and hold, whether they're investing in multifamily. It's like and me and Vic, you and I had this conversation. It's like investors don't understand what agents do. Agents don't understand what marketers do. And therefore there's this mix match of understanding of trying to come to the table to provide value. So James, I guess like what my question is really around like, you have this pool of client flow or investor flow or people that actively trust you with their investments. Like, how did you build that? Like, how did you build that flow, and how did you build that relationship? And I know that you're really great with talk tracks. We've chatted about that, but like, walk me through how you even build a relationship with an investor so that they even trust you with the idea that this can be a potential opportunity for them.
Sure. So, I guess, the first way that the way that I meet investors, or at least the way that I built out my database of investors, was and so I'm just going to take you from the beginning on this to start. So I'll put ads up on Facebook for like investor specific. I'll do Facebook ads. I'll do marketplace ads. I'll put a for sale by owner in Zillow because I buy properties a lot as well. So, and I'll put a for sale by owner, one of mine, in Zillow. And, the only people that call for sale by owners, just anybody listening out there, the only people that call for sale by owners on Zillow are agents trying to get my own listing and investors. Those are the only two people, that call. So I build my list through Facebook ads for investment properties and just using for sale by owner in Zillow. And so that's where we start our conversation right there. And it's always the same way. It's, I prefer, let's say belly to belly, but, I prefer the phone call, like when they call and ask about the property, and we just kind of like, oh yeah, so Vic, what is it that you're looking for? What do you usually take down? Name like two of the properties that you've recently invested in or flipped or, did a kind of conversion on, so what is it that you're exactly looking for? I don't think this one's going to be the right fit for you, but would you be open if I had other ones for you? So when I do get these people, I go through kind of like what their needs analysis is, just like you would any buyer in real estate. And then you go ahead and just, put that in your CRM. But this is one place where I don't really kind of differentiate. I don't care what you were looking for. Everybody gets the same, like when I get a new project or when I get a new property that is going to probably go the investor route, it goes out to all of them. It doesn't matter if it's a multifamily or if it's a long-term hold or if it's just a flip. I send the same thing out to everybody. And that just has to do with cadence of how often I get in front of them, because I want them, I want them to see my name at least once a week, if not twice a week.
Yeah, because you want them to think of investments and James. Like it's a synchronicity. Go for it, Cody.
Are you doing, so maybe we can go tactical. Are you doing that deal of the week style, or how are you getting that that specific property out in front of them? Like, can you walk us through maybe like, it's okay, like it's easy to find a property or potentially find a property. Like, what are you sending to those investors? Can you walk us through the exact email, the exact message? Is it a text message? Like, what are you doing?
No, it's going to be, it's okay. Since we're all like disciples of Sharon right here, I'll just keep it straightforward. It is deal of the week style. There is not, there's no visuals in it. There's no addresses in it. It's neighborhood. So I'll give you the neighborhood. I'll give you the acquisition price. I'll give you probably like, what needs to be done, or kind of like my quick assessment of it. And then I'll give you like, after like, margins. So I'll give you the margin on the exit. And I was like, and then, I'll get the people that are interested in that. And then usually I'll hold like one kind of like open house, and not really an open house. So I throw up like a card table, throw some coffee on it. I'm like, all right, between 12 and 1, bring you guys over and kick the tires and see if this is a project you want to take down. So I'm only bringing them. I don't throw properties and let them do the CMA on it and just kind of try to figure out value. I tell them what it is. And so I sell projects. I don't sell I don't give like quote unquote kind of like leads to a property. I sell the project.
So let's talk about that, because that's number 3 is when you walk a property, right? Because now you're walking a property from your own eyes and you're thinking, okay, this is something that I'm a part of, I'm a partner in, or I would take it down myself. So when you walk a property, so let's say you have like what are your typical properties? Townhouses that are being remodeled, or older homes that need a remodel, flip type of thing? Or what do you guys typically, what's the one you brought in today?
Today's kind of an outlier.
Okay, let's talk about the one you brought in last week then.
well, let's go with today. Today, let's go with today. Today could be a tear down. So this one could, potentially be a tear down. The neighborhood, depending on the style of the home, because this comes into kind of like, you really need to know the inventory. So this neighborhood, there's a lot of colonial style homes. And if this home that I got today was a colonial, it'd be an absolute home run, because it'd be really easy to put like a 10, 15 foot addition on the back, gut it out, like blow it out the back, and it's a real easy, flip for a developer if you've done these types before. But this one's a split level. So it's it's like so we're going to have to rip it apart, or potentially it may be best just to take it down to the ground. So, and then start over. So this one's a little bit different. So you need to know kind of like, but to your point. So
what are some of the things that you need to know in a neighborhood? So one, you need to know what the type of, so if you're looking at a split level and this is a neighborhood that has all modern homes, or all colonial style homes, or all traditional style homes, and this is a random split level and it needs a ton of work, then it might make more sense to bring it down to the ground and then rebuild it back up to fit the neighborhood profile, because you'll get max value, correct?
Yeah. So then, on something like that, you just need to know what the threshold is. What's the threshold in the neighborhood for the upper end? Because to take it down and build it back up, we're going to have to kind of like maximize the footprint, maximize the budget, and probably, come close to, if not break a sales record in the neighborhood.
To make it make sense. So when you look at a property, right? So this particular property, because it sounds like it's on the more risky of spectrums, depending on which way you go. Because if you're trying to break a record in the neighborhood based off of where the economy could be, because, a new build takes 12 to 18 months in your economy?
In a year, yeah. We have a house in a year on this lot, or probably a little bit longer than that.
Okay, so how do you project? Because I came into the world the same way you did. I was flipping houses, then I got into sales, and then I helped clients find infills that we could tear down and build back up, or they could flip and remodel, add value. So how do you look at this property? So this is a split level property. You're in a very nice neighborhood that has obviously value in the neighborhood. How are you assessing which way to go with this property personally?
For me, super easy. I look at the other split levels in the neighborhood, and there's another that's basically about the same square footage, it's probably the same original builder, built in 58 as well. I look at that one, and it's been totally redone. And so that's the upper end of kind of where your split level is going to be if you don't put any additions on it or anything, and they're harder to put the additions on. So I look at that, and then I look at, like, if I went down to the ground and if I just did a new build on here, what could be my exit there? I look at those deltas and then just kind of like price per square foot, what a new build is going to cost, and what the neighborhood could handle. And then I just kind of like look at, like, all right, what's the dominant kind of like strategy here? And that would be to tear it down, tell me the truth.
Now, obviously, this information didn't come to you overnight. Like you've been in you've been in the space for a while, and so I want to
shake the magic 8-ball.
Yeah, shake the spit level, jar or whatever you want to call it, the magic wand. You picked some things up along the way in order to get you to even get this knowledge, and I think that a lot of people, a lot of agents that I speak with are. I really do think that they just don't have the right information. And I think that a lot of agents, like when it comes to investing, it's like even working with investors, they steer away, especially when they're in their, first couple of years of real estate, they steer away from investors because they don't know how to speak to them. They don't know how to find them. They also aren't knowledgeable enough about the fix and flips or about, multifamily. Like, how did you get? I know you got started in, fixing and flipping, but like, how did you, over time, gain more confidence and gain more knowledge to get the confidence to find the projects to put it out in front of the investors? Like, where did the confidence come from, and where did the information come from?
It came from losing, doing it on my own, and not winning every time, and then kind of like once I got to that point, it was like more kind of like, who do I need to partner with in order to get this skill set and learn this skill set that I need? So it was really kind of like finding partners that would walk me through their process, like so I could walk into a place, after a while, and I know what it costs to replumb a house. I know what it costs to redo floors. I know what roofs and windows are going to cost, or at least your builder grade. So it came from doing that. Then it got much more complex when I started doing condo conversions. But then I did it again. The same thing I did with that one was I didn't mess around that time. I knew right away. It's like, I need to give up. Like so many people go and pay for a massive college degree. I have friends that come out with $200,000 in debt. So kind of like the way I look at it is like, what? I'm going to give up a lot of, potential revenue or commission or however you want to look at it. But I'm going to give up a lot of money, but I'm going to bring on a partner and I'm going to learn from them. So I just looked at it as buying my education in real estate or in development. So I think like sometimes when we have to get out of our own way and know when we have to get a partner or somebody that's going to let me scale and learn much faster than I do.
It's so funny, bro. You called you called a college degree debt, not investment. It's like, yeah, I got a college degree and I got $200,000 in debt. That's a freaking stupid thing on the wall. How do you find it as an agent, right? How do they go about and actually find a mentor to teach them, right? Because like I'm doing a course right now, how to show buyers, because the new NAR litigation's coming out and all this crap, and all these people are like, all the brokerages are changing. There are the big companies and the MLSs are changing what the requirements are for as buyer compensation. It's like, so buyers have to actually, the buyer's agent has to actually show value for the first time in their career where they never did in the past. It was just like, hey, the listing agent is going to give us a portion of their commission and we're going to get paid. And so agents didn't necessarily need to go out and find mentors. They didn't need to go out and learn how a house works. They didn't need to know how all the systems works, because they always just like push that onto the inspector. Oh, the inspectors, I'm going to get you the best inspector. The inspector is going to look through all the systems and make sure the roof and everything is good. But a good agent actually understands how the home works. They've been in a crawl space. They've been in an attic. They've seen what a bad AC looks like. They've seen what a bad water heater looks like. They can start to, without even an inspector looking there, look at it. They're like, okay, that thing's rusted out. All right. That's 30 years old. That's $1,000 at least. Right. But how does one go about finding a mentor in the investment world if they were to want to find one? Like, how did you find one of yours?
But that's it. I found mine through kind of like the first one that I got was probably maybe the third contractor that I hired. And he's actually a close friend of mine to this day. He actually He doesn't contract. He doesn't do any contracting anymore. He was a GC. Doesn't do that anymore. All he does is invests in flips. So and his other stuff too. So it just kind of like that just kind of like happened, whereas kind of like, would be just like much more hands-on and just be at my project. But to answer the second one, which is kind of like, how did I find like somebody that was a good teacher for multifamily? So, condo conversions. I hunted that person down, and it was somebody that was doing a lot of business in town. And, and I just kept reaching out to him. Hey, Mark, it's like, I just saw that new one that came out. I was like, can I get a tour before, you put it on the market? And then, so I would just kind of like build a relationship with him. And then he just it's like, hey, you want to invest in my next one? And I was like, absolutely. And so kind of like in investing in that, he just kind of like walked me through how he goes through getting the zoning, getting the tenants out of a building that's already, filled with tenants in Washington, D.C. That's a tough thing to do. So kind of like learning all these nuances to the process. But if I was to tell somebody how to find a mentor right now, well, like if you ask somebody to be a mentor to you, man, their ego, like it's like, it's like, dude, you want me to be your mentor? You should shoot higher, but man, I'll take you on. So I think it should come from kind of vulnerability and contribution. Like, what can I do for them as well? Hey, can I do a video in here and put it on my social? I think that, that person is going to be very open to you picking their brain a little bit.
Yeah, there's when we talk to new agents on our team, one of the things I told him, I said is, find an inspector that your office uses. Even if you're not like selling a lot of homes, find a good inspector, go out, research him, read his reviews, get on his website, see all the things that they're doing. And then compare it to 2 or 3 other inspectors in the neighborhood. And then if you can't get a warm intro, just reach out to him and be like, hey man, if there's ever a property that you're at, can I just shadow you and ask questions? And go get in the crawl space, go get in the attic space, right? Get underneath the home, get on the side of the house, take some dirty shoes, like get muddy, get dirty, see all the things. Then go to new construction, walk around, and as you're walking around, ask the lumber guys, like what makes good lumber? Then go and like, even if you can't find a mentor, and if you keep doing that and you keep showing up to the same property over and over again, eventually somebody's going to notice your car. They're going to notice you. They're like, why you ask? Oh, I'm just trying to learn because I want to be a more knowledgeable agent. And when you do that and people start to recognize you, the contractors will be like, all right, annoying ass Vic's here again. Bob, show them what you're doing over there. Show them what the tile, show them what the underlayment, show them this. And they'll teach you exactly how they're building homes. Like, so, and then they'll just naturally take you on because they see you putting in effort and you're not wasting their time.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only that, but one of the things that I'll ask a developer is, what is it that makes your houses better than the next person's?
Oh, that's a good one.
Ask them that question. That dude,
show me why.
Yeah, that guy's gonna love you. It's like, I want to be able to articulate your house. Should I be showing it? Like they love that.
That's good talk. That's a good track. You guys should write that one down. What makes your property better? So, okay. How do we go out and find investors now? So where do investors hang out in your opinion, and where can an agent go and find the investors?
Depends. Do you want to go out? If you go into Facebook or if you just Google investor meetup, you're going to find a billion investors. I don't even do that. I mean, I could do that, but I have better things to do at night. So
we can't all be handsome like you, James. Some of us belong on the front of the camera. Some of us belong on the back of the camera.
This is radio, right?
Ladies, James are you single?
Yeah, man, I am single.
Ladies, James is single. Very intelligent, wealthy, good looking, smart man. But
well, thanks for the plug. If I could get that on any of my profiles, that'd be awesome.
We'll cut this up for you and put it on your Tinder profile. You're good. Good. Our agent podcast approved.
Perfect.
Where? So they go on Facebook. They can just Google investor meets locally. It's not. What you're saying is that if they put a little bit of effort, they can find where money hangs out.
They could do that if they want to. If you want to pay to find them, that's a really easy way to do it as well. Put just an ad up on Facebook, put a couple bucks behind it. Just like 5 best investment deals right now in X market, and you're just going to get a list of people that go on there and click on that and just keep running that ad over and over again. And you're going to 5 best deals this week, 5 best deals this week. And you're just going to get that list. And then you just go after that list, just like you would do any other drip campaign.
Last question before we got to jam. How do you nurture the lead? How do you nurture an investor? Because this is an investment that you could pay dividends multiple times once you start getting in flow with. Is there anything you're saying to an investor when you meet them new? Is there anything that you're saying to keep them outside of your sending the deals? Is there anything you do to keep them in your back pocket per se?
Absolutely. One of the things that I do is if they get, one of the things that I offer to all of them is if they find another deal and they want to run it by another set of ears or another set of eyes, whatever, I'll go ahead and comp it out, give them I'll give them a flip book. So if they're kind of the same exact way that I do mine, are you guys familiar with flip book? Okay.
Just explain it.
All right. It's basically a digit. It's say it's a CMA, but it's really pretty. And so it just comes across really much more professional. So I'll make a flip book on any property. And I was like, hey, even if you're not buying this one with me, I'll make it for you. I'll have my assistant make it and, send it over to him so he can get funding if he's not bringing all the money himself. So that's one of the things that I do. Another thing that I do is if you're doing deals with me, I make sure that you're going out to lunch with me too. So I'll book, hey, let's sit down and talk about, what we're doing. What are your goals? How many deals do you want to do this year? And how many of these can I get in front of you? So I try to make it much more hey, I'm just like it would be your financial planner or your advisor. I want to be that person that you come to when any of these things come up. So it'd be more hey, Cody, you said you wanted to do 10 this year. How many are you at? What do we need to do? How flush are you? What kind of cash do you need? What kind of positions are you looking to hold into it? And I'll write this stuff down and I'm like, all right, I'm going to send you 3. Let's see if we can't get you up to your 10 this year. So it's really kind of listening to what their goal is. Now, some of them are too busy and, they don't want the margins that I have. But what I found is, when I have a project, I'm going to find somebody that will take that margin. So, you may have one guy that says, hey, I need to make some are really sophisticated. They want a percentage return. Some of the other ones are if I walk away making 100 out of this, I'll be happy. And then other people so I can always find somebody, or I get somebody that's happy with 50K on a small, cosmetic condo flip, So depending on what it is, you just have to know what they're happy with. And then you can kind of keep that deal flow go. And in this market right now, when you have buyers kind of pulling back and sellers if I sell my house, Vic, where are you going to put me in? Because, it's now my purchasing power is way less than it was a year ago. And they're not selling. So, but who is selling? People that want to make money, or people who are transacting or people that want to make money right now. So I find they're one of the easier, lower hanging fruits. At least in Q4, going into Q4 this year. So that's what makes sense.
James, I want to say thank you for playing all out, for sharing with us your secrets, your wins, your losses, lessons, stories around investments. Somebody wants to chat with you, they want to learn a little bit more about what you're doing in the Washington area. Maybe it's an agent-to-agent referral. Where is the best place that we can send them for them to have a conversation with you?
You could do it right to James at thegrantgroup.com. That's
that simple. That's simple. Vikram, before I close out, anything you want to add, anything you want to say to our listeners?
Yeah, bro. Well, first off, thank you for sharing, brother. Always good to catch up with you. Can't wait to see you next week in San Diego. It's going to be a blast. If you guys got value from this, go reach out to James. He's an open book. He'll share freely with you. He'll help you. He'll do whatever he can. That's just kind of dude he is. Ladies, if you're single, so is James. And, you know, I'm just saying, I'm just helping
relationship.
Don't take relationship advice from me, but James is a good dude. And if you guys got some value, if you enjoyed this, if you had some fun, drop us a like, drop us a comment, subscribe, share this. This is episode, I think, 209, 10, 11, somewhere in that range. We do this because we want to see real estate agents grow, and we bring out the best in the industry for you so that you can build your business without having to spend money if you don't have the money or you don't want to, so that you can have the business you want. Other than that, we appreciate you being here.
Thank you for tuning into another episode of the RE Agent Podcast. We'll see you soon.